Welcome back. Welcome back to Let's Talk About It. You're tuned in to News and Talk 1380 WAOK. It is your main man, Chris Smith, the executive producer of Let's Talk About It. And I'm coming to you live to let you know we are just 2 days from the presidential election, noted as one of the most historical elections we have taken place. We have two people in the race, Vice President Harris and as well as former President Donald Trump. I told you all that I had a packed show for you all today, and right now I need you all to join me in welcoming. It is my privilege to introduce a remarkable leader and influential voice in global affairs, Miss Ambassador Susan E. Rice. With a distinguished career in public service, she has served as the United States Ambassador to the United Nations and as a National Security Advisor under President Barack Obama. Additionally, she held the role of Domestic Policy Advisor to President Joe Biden, showcasing her expertise in both international and domestic issues. She is also a proud author of the New York Times best-selling book, Tough Love, My Story of Things Worth Fighting For, where she shares her experiences and insights on leadership, resilience, and the importance of advocacy. She has been so graceful to give us a few minutes of her time while she's in between campaigns. And I want to say thank you for your time. Great afternoon. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great. Great to be with you, Chris. How you doing?
I am doing phenomenal. So let's get right into it. Right now, this has literally been one of the most historical elections that we have taken place. As we approach Election Day, how do you perceive the current state of the race between VP Harris and former Donald Trump? What key factors do you think are shaping voter behavior in these final days?
Well, Chris, all over the battleground states, and including in Georgia, it's super, super tight. The race is very, very close, and it could go either way. And the big determinant is going to be which side gets its voters out to the polls. And so, it's so important for all of us to, one, recognize that this is, as you said, not just historic, but the stakes are extremely high.
Extremely. Yes,
and we need to get out ourselves and vote, but make sure our family, our friends, our people we are in the community with, our coworkers, our neighbors, people we go to church with, that they all get out and vote, because every single vote is going to matter. You know how close Georgia was last time.
Exactly.
It could be that closer or even closer. So it's hugely important, and there's so much at stake. Are we going to have an economy that works for the super rich like Elon Musk who get more tax breaks? Or are we going to have an economy where working and middle-class families get 100 million of us a major middle-class tax cut, and child tax credit and home health care and a federal ban on price gouging and down payment assistance of $25,000 to buy a first home, or a $50,000 tax credit to start a new business. Kamala Harris is offering help and support for people like us to have a chance, not just to scrape by, but to actually get ahead and build generational wealth, whereas Donald Trump's trying to just continue to line the pockets of the super rich and the biggest corporations and put a tariff on goods coming in from every country around the world, your food, your electronics, your fuel, everything that comes from outside of the United States. And that 20% tariff is going to cost the average American family $4,000 additional dollars a year on top of all we're already paying for.
Wow, it is so much. And you answered my next question that I had for you, which was actually, what was the biggest contrast that you see between both of them? But I want to know, how are you evaluating Ms. Harris's campaign strategy as it compares to Trump's? We see the things he's out here doing, the things he's out here saying. I mean, they just was at Madison State Garden, and there was a comedian there that said some very hateful speech. But on the other end, you see Ms. Harris is out here and literally doing the work. What are some things that you see that her strengths are that we should focus more on?
Well, look, they couldn't be more different. Like, Donald Trump is running to stay out of jail and make himself more rich and more powerful. He's unraveling before our eyes, saying crazy, crazy stuff and doing crazy stuff. And, just today, he said that he should never have left office after 2020 when he lost. He should have just stayed in. Wow. And he said that the press should be shot. And, he's got his enemies list, and his whole platform is coming in to get revenge and retribution. It's not to do anything to help regular people who are, need help economically, need help with their health care, need help, with their housing and everything else. And he's also about trying to take rights away from people, take rights away from women, take voting rights away. Just take us back to a time when, frankly, black folks and women and Latinos and everybody else in this country were not equal. His closing message is, let's hate on more than half the American population and let's stoke fear and division. And Kamala Harris is like, we've had enough of that. Let's actually elect a leadership that has a to-do list of things that the American people need to get done, who's going to work on those things in the national interest, and who's not in it for herself, but in it for all of us. And let's just get past the hate and the division. Why can't we go back to the time when we looked at each other as neighbors and had respect for one another? And even if we disagreed, we could work across the aisle to get stuff done. That's what she's saying she wants to do. Be a president for everybody. Be solutions-oriented, and get the work done that needs to be done.
Exactly. And I know your time is short, so I just have one more question for you, Ambassador Rice. As we approach Election Day, even though there's an extreme difference, we still have some undecided voters. And we know Tuesday is this day we need people to come out and show up in droves and in numbers. Can you explain the importance of voting for those who may be still having this hesitant act to want to vote? What message do you want to convey to those to encourage their participation in this crucial election?
Well, everybody has a huge stake in this election. Your economic future, your freedoms, whether we maintain a democracy or not, and our national security. People should not have the luxury of sitting this one out, because they're going to suffer the consequences of the outcome if you don't make your voice heard. Let me just leave you with one thought. That I come from a national security background. I spent 30 years, serving President Clinton, President Obama, President Biden, and sitting and leading meetings in the White House Situation Room on the toughest national security issues we face. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I'd like to say to people, if you want to just hold one thought, when you think of Donald Trump, know that his vice president, Mike Pence, 2 of his defense secretaries, 2 of his national security advisors, his secretary of state, his chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and his White House chief of staff, his longest-serving chief of staff, 4-star General John Kelly, Marine General, all say he is dangerous, he is unfit, and he should not be commander-in-chief again. And several of them say he's fascist to the core. Now, look, they didn't need to come out and say this. It's not like, Trump is just, vilifying them. But they did it because they think it's that important for people to know what's at stake. If the people who work most closely with you and been in the room with you when you had to make decisions are saying that you're unfit and dangerous, we all need to pay attention to that. And I can tell you from working with Kamala Harris very closely that she is smart, she is tough, she is thoughtful, she cares about people, she's got good judgment, and she is ready to be commander-in-chief. She's met with over 150 world leaders and traveled to every continent. She's been in the room when tough decisions are on the table. She is ready, and she is sound and solid and extremely capable. On the other hand, you have this guy that everybody around him has said should not come anywhere near the Oval Office again.
Ambassador Rice, we thank you so much for your time, so much for the words that you have shared. I mean, with somebody of your background and expertise, I think the words that you are saying really resonates heavy with a lot. We thank you so much. Safe travels, and we hope to have you soon back on the program.
Thank you for having me, Chris. Take care, everybody, and get out and vote, please.
Yes, ma'am. That's the way to go. Get out and vote, ladies and gentlemen. You heard that loud and clear. That was my exclusive interview with none other than Ambassador Susan E. Rice. You heard it loud and clear. She's been on just about all the teams, so that voice is very important.